All right, Snow, Mohave Pride 2026.
Back again, back at it.
Yeah, and we're sitting here with our friend Mom Hugs.
Mom Hugs!
Back again. We so appreciate you coming out here each and every year.
Oh, you know what? It is absolutely my pleasure. Bringing some rainbow love, just some rednecks is my favorite hobby.
And I think every year it gets worse. I mean, over the last couple of years, the attacks on especially the trans community by this administration. And we do our own to try to fight back against it, but it seems like it's a losing battle sometimes.
It's like fighting a 4-alarm fire with a squirt gun, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
You know, for me to be able to lay my head down at night, here is what I believe with all of my heart. What's happening now in all of this craziness and all of this division is separating us into two armies. An army that is identifying themselves of, we hate, we believe that we are the only one that should be in power, and then all of the rest of the world that says, F that. And when we have an army that wants love and tolerance and diversity, and we have the tangerine tyrant, you know, wherever his next place is going to be, when that pendulum swings, it's going to be beautiful. And I put my energy there because this stuff was too much. It is too much. My oldest is trans and very much wants a new name and is terrified to do it right now and is terrified to be themselves. And, you know, this is not the world that we should be living in. And, so it's rough. I got here last night and I was just chatting with the person at the grocery store and I said, you know, I'm here for the Pride Festival and I'm here for Free Moms. And she looked at me and said, oh my gosh, be safe. There's really some scary people out there. Please be safe. That was the entrance that I got into this town and it just, it can break you down, but I have to put my energy in that everything changes and everything evolves and enough really good people are getting to the point where, you know, enough is powerful and that means change is coming.
Yeah.
And like the saddest thing, like how you were talking about the two armies, the folks on the other side of the army, it's like your leader does not give a fuck about you. He only cares about himself anyways. It's like they're fighting a war often kind of against their own interests, just as humans, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he came out and said the last week, like, I don't care about people's economic problems.
Right. It's peanuts.
Yeah.
This is peanuts. The higher gas prices or whatever. It's like,
I believe
it's crazy.
My dad was at the very beginning. He voted for Trump, and we had to not speak about it. But I watched over the years as he became bedridden and all he did was watch Fox News. I watched him get poisoned. I watched his whole demeanor, his whole moral compass was shifted. And the bubbles that they're in, the lies that they are believing, and it's sad. I mean, it really is sad. And I hope at some point that bubble starts to burst when it doesn't matter who you are, none of us can afford our groceries. Right. None of us are paying our bills. And there comes a point where I am hoping that bubble's going to burst. And then, you know, there's going to be an army of love that go, okay, finally, come on over, you know. And that's, I'm hoping, because at a certain point, I mean, we're all struggling. And you're right. He is just completely blatantly saying, I don't care.
Only cares about himself. Only has it where, like, the IRS is now set up to never audit him and his family. Like, that's it.
Yeah, and, you know, you have $1.776 billion to go to the January 6th terrorists and his other friends. Although those people will never get they'll get $30 or something. They'll get $17.76. They'll get a check for that. Add that funding.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should get anything.
No, they shouldn't. No,
because it's just sheer principle. You should not get fuck all for breaking in to our capital and shitting all over the place, wiping your shit all over the place.
That's what I'm hoping all of those non-American people that did that, their names are in history. And as time goes on, your family, your children, your grandchildren are going to look back and see that you were on the wrong side of history. And you were, I just baffles me.
you have to believe that, although...
Otherwise, I have to choose whether do I be completely in touch and watch everything, or do I protect my mental health.
Yeah. How do you do that, though? How do you do, like with Mom Hugs, a great organization that really helps a lot of people. You gave me a big hug because I told you a personal story right before we did this. And I don't know, how do you find the strength to do that with all this bullshit going on?
I believe with all my heart that when hate is this loud, love's got to be louder. And there is such power in that booth alone, and what happens there is just within a hug, and you hear stories, in your ear. I haven't hugged my mom in 20 years, or my mom died last year, or and you just, it's a human to human, I care. And it's an organization of men and women and people that just want to show up and care. And when I first found it, I took my oldest to the Pride in the Pines in Flagstaff, and I just stood there in awe, and I said, this is what you do. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to be when I grow up. And I immediately said, how do you do this? How do I get active? I was teaching here at the time. And it was at a time where I was having students coming out to me and then, falling apart because their parents were not accepting. And to see, I've seen many of them here, and I've seen them grow over there. This is our 5th year here. And it just being able to watch people get to be uniquely them, especially in an area where that's not really safe. And it's my pleasure. And for me, I have to put my energy in the positive because there's so much else out there. And I have to look every day. I'm surrounded by people who are filled with love, who have moral compasses and believe that equanimity and equality and diversity make us stronger. And so when everything else gets loud, I look around and I know those are the people that, if we go down a really ugly path, love always wins.
Yeah.
The end.
Well, and also the point of, asking for a hug is being vulnerable. I'm going to tell you a true story. Nobody's hugged me in the last 6 weeks. And I haven't asked for anybody for a hug, and I've always been like, I'm doing okay. I am doing okay.
There's a lot of power in a hug. In fact, one of my volunteers, I'll tell a story. Her daughter was a student of mine many years ago, and the first year, the grandfather was very angry that they were coming. And then the next year, I said, how are you doing? Okay. Grandpa's doing better. Okay. The next year, Grandpa came with them. And Grandpa had had a massive stroke, and he came in a wheelchair. And he came around Pride, and he signed the yearbook. And it's a scratchy, scribbly, and it was on a Post-it note because we had to bring it at his level. But he signed the yearbook, which is your first time at Pride. And that Post-it is still in the book. And when she came back this year, she said, my dad signed one of these books. I said, yes, he did. I said, would you like to see where? And I opened that book up, and there was that. And we just cried. And it was healing, and it was release, and it was love. Because, even the most hateful parts, it can change. It can change. And I've seen it happen. And being in that hug booth, that helps me. It feels like defense against the rest of this crazy world. It really does.
And what else do you have going on? Any other new projects?
Gosh. Well, I finally, I think I talked about this last year, I finally finished the book about the Johnny the Orange Dinosaur in
Yeah.
preschool.
Yeah.
So I finished that one. I've got the picture, so I'm ready to publish that. I also started a brand new business that is just launching, and it's called Authentically Ever After. I became an ordained minister. I'm going back to school for a master's in divinity, and so what I am doing is I am weddings. I'm also doing union ceremonies for polyamorous couples. I do name-changing ceremonies for those who have transitioned. I do all sorts of different ceremonies, and so I'm really, really excited. I'll be working both Flagstaff and Mohave County, and so it was something that really came to me in the middle of meditation, and I get to bring love to this world and to people who don't often get to feel it.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. Can we get you on a future episode and talk more about that?
Absolutely. I would love that. In fact, as soon as I get that website up so I can send people to a place, now it's just giving you a phone number out. But I'm really excited to launch this, and I know that I will be able to touch lives in just ways that no one else can.
Do you want to give them the phone number?
The phone number for Authentically Ever After is area code 949-246-7624. Our next event is actually a blue moon ceremony. So if you're going to be in the Flagstaff area, it is the 31st of the month. It's from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and we will be releasing all that doesn't serve us and just going through some really fun activities and creating some community.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Tickets are on sale at Eventbrite.
All right.
Cool.
All right. I'll send me some more information. I'll create a little bit better intro because we're out in the wind on it, and
Absolutely. I'll send you the
Okay, awesome. It was great to see you again, as it is every year.
Yeah, always good to see mom hugs.
I look forward to it all year. You guys have been doing such an amazing job. I've been the digital fan from behind. I'm cheering you guys on. You're keeping us laughing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, our favorite local band, Snailman, is about to take the stage, so we need to wrap this up.
Excited.
All right.
Everybody,
All right.
happy Pride.
All right.
Happy Pride.
All right. We love you.